Right. Thanks everybody again for joining us for another WKS podcast interview. This time I'm with Emma Benwell, who goes by the name of Miss Molly. Is that right?
Yeah. Hi. How you
Hi.
doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Yeah. Brilliant. Do you want to sort of start off telling us how you got into music in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, from a very young age, I've been surrounded by musicians. Most of my family were musicians, so it was quite normal to be singing and playing along at home and going out to gigs with my mum and my grandparents and stuff like that. Professionally, I got into music when I was about 24. I started, working with a few producers and stuff, recording and writing. And that was, I'm now 39, so that's a good few years ago now. And then when I was about, I'd say, I think 30, I set up my own band. I wanted to go live because I was doing a lot of studio work.
Right.
So I formed a band called Mad Molly Band, hence the name Miss Molly, because people think my name's Molly. So I went with it. And yeah, so we were doing a lot of like function gigs and parties and stuff. And back in 2019, we were gigging loads. It was amazing, but it was all cover stuff. I wasn't doing anything original at that point. I had previously, but then I'd stopped to do, the live music. So five years of just gigging with the band all over the UK.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that was great.
how long have you been writing your own stuff for then? 5 years, is that right?
Well, I started writing when I was 24, but then I stopped for a couple of years. To be honest, I felt like my writing skills weren't great. I kind of got to a point where I was like, I'm not writing to the ability of what I'm capable of doing vocally. So I started looking for songwriters, trying to collaborate with people, and just focusing on the band because I was heading up the band. I was, dealing with all the bookings, the marketing, rehearsals, everything. So that kind of took my focus away, really. Okay. But yeah, I've been back writing for the last sort of year and a half.
Okay. What sort of genre do you put yourself in then?
I don't really, if I'm honest. I cover so many genres. I think my ideal genre is soul, maybe R&B. But I people send me stuff and I think I'm up for the challenge. Let's have a go. And I'm really pleased with what comes of it. So, I try not to put myself in a box because being creative, I think it's important to just sort of see what happens,
Yeah.
The Mad Molly Band, I brought 3 songs to the band, and actually the musicianship, it grew. There were so many of us that I just pulled a few musicians in and we sat down and we actually we got through these songs. They helped me to create them from scratch. I just brought some lyrics and a few ideas, and I just released my first EP, which is awesome, and it's called The Mighty Molly Collective. Okay. But it took like 2 years to get those songs finished, right? Because of the process. Working with musicians was just, it was amazing. Everybody bringing something to the table. We didn't know what these songs were going to sound like until we finished them.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So what's the writing process like for you then?
It depends. At the moment I've got a whole list of people that I'm working with, and they'll send me something and it might just be a case of fill that gap, do what you want with it, or it might be a case of I've started writing something and I need musicians to create something around that. Generally I work with music that's already been created and then I write to it. Right. That's 80% of the time, but I really enjoy the process of, because literally last night I started writing something. So things just pop into my head and I think, I need to talk about that. That's going to be a great subject and it's something I'm passionate about. So let me, write. And then, the good news is when you've been a musician for so long, there's options. I could contact the producer and just say, make me an instrumental and we can tweak it and we can, go along the process. Or I can sit with a musician, like one of my pianists, and just say, right, where do we go with this? And we just figure it out. So there isn't really a one direction for me. I'm always looking at different ways, I guess, being creative.
Okay. So what music is out there at the moment? If people, where can they get hold of it?
So basically everything is now on all of the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube, and you can just search Miss Molly, MS.Molly. I've got another collaborative with a couple of guys. We call ourselves the Miss Molly Hughes Kemp, because they're the two guys that have created the music and the songwriter. It's a really lovely collaboration, actually. It's kind of a little bit of Latin feel, sometimes a little bit of reggae. It's just, you know, how do we feel about this song and what mood does it give us? And look what we created. It's really fun.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So your own personal music out there, have you got CDs out or albums or?
Yeah, I used to do CDs, but I've stopped doing that because I just don't think, you know, I've asked, you know, my little audience of people who would be interested in CDs, and everyone's down for streaming now. So yeah. I'm happy with that. So I just put everything online and focus on marketing. I don't like to ram it in people's faces, if I'm honest. I just share, you know, here's something new if you like it. And naturally people will either love it and share it, or they'll, you know, be polite and just listen and, you know, and move on. So that's all I've really asked for. I don't necessarily want anything more than that. I think throughout that process, maybe that's why I don't zone in on a genre, because maybe I haven't found one yet. Maybe I'm quite happy, you know, just trying everything out, because something will stick, I guess.
Some people tend to, they'll like a certain style of music, and you know, you might have done maybe 2 or 3 tracks of that similar style, and then they'll assume that's what you do. Do you know what I mean?
No, and it's not.
No, exactly. I mean, that's the thing, you know. So, well, that's brilliant. So what, I know we're sort of just coming out the lockdown-ish at the moment, and so how did the, you know, songwriting wise, how did the lockdown affect you then?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Brilliant.
Oh, I loved it. No, I was so busy prior to lockdown. In fact, March 2020 was our last gig, me and the band. And I remember driving home with the guys in the car, and I said, imagine what life would be like if we didn't have to chase the money. And then boom, we didn't have to chase the money anymore, and we were all being creative in our homes. I know the odd person that struggled with that, but I don't necessarily crave people or going places. I'm all about being productive. So, you know, I decided to really enjoy the fact that I probably for the first time in my life I could sit in the garden in the sun and read a book and, you know, paint paintings and you know, be creative. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I've really enjoyed it. No complaint.
No, fair enough. You know, there is definite 2 camps. It's either been really good or it's been hellish. So, you know, did you find yourself writing more music then?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's what I really needed to do. I think I was a little bit stuck in the live band thing, because it was kind of taking off. In 2019, we got so busy, but it wasn't really what I wanted to be doing. That was my goal, because people would say, do you want to be famous? And I'd say, no, I just want to go live and just play. But the more gigs we got, the more we started to conform and become something that I quite like being background music, acoustic, you know, dinner. And then it was like, you know, get the party pumping. And we learned to do that. And it was a huge journey for me, because I'm quite humble. But at the same time, I've learned from that. I've enjoyed that. I'm not sure how much I want that back in my life, if I'm honest. I think I'll probably rather focus on doing the more acoustic gigs and maybe the smaller gigs, and perhaps promoting my own music as opposed to singing cover songs. So
fair play. Fair play. So which other sort of musicians and singers do you sort of admire?
Well, all of my life, I would say I've always really, really admired people like Lauryn Hill, Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey. I love Jessie J, and I do love a bit of Stevie Wonder. So they are definitely people that I've looked up to. But to be honest, it was always my mum. Growing up, she's not around anymore, but when I was younger, she was really quite a powerful figure to me. She knew how to stand up and, you know, put on that show and be confident and deal with it. And I saw behind the scenes with her, I knew how difficult things were. And do you know what I mean? And I used to just admire watching her overcome challenges. And yeah, she was amazing. And her voice was phenomenal. She was a rock singer. So, you know, you can imagine that she was quite powerful. So yeah, above all of the superstars, my mum.
Love it.
Without a doubt.
Love
Yeah.
it, love it. So if you could open for anybody then, you know, past or present, who would you do, you know, love to do?
If I could open for somebody, I really like I don't know if you know, but I like people like Fantasia. It's real R&B soul kind of stuff. Music Soul Child, those kind of people. That, you know, that for me would be a massive achievement to be able to do something like that. Yeah.
Brilliant. So where are you actually based then?
I'm based in West London.
West London, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it sort of opening up safely for you there? Are the gigs on the horizon?
Well, to be honest, I haven't started looking for gigs because I'm the type of person to sit back and watch and see what's happening. I don't want, because, you know, for example, last August, we got a couple of gig slots and then they got cancelled. Like I did one or two and then they were cancelled. So I just kind of want to sit back and see what happens with all of that, because there's so much work that goes into organising gigs, musicians and all the rest of it. So, you know, I've had a few, I've had a few people that have come to me and said, look, let's get you booked in. And I've just said, all right, I'll get back to you. Because, you know, we've only been open a couple of days and it's chaos out there and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I get you. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we've got down here where I am, there's queues outside the charity shops, for goodness sake, you know.
It's gone mad. So,
it is.
And, you know, and being self-employed, I was previously self-employed for a couple of years. So I avoid rush hour. I'm in my own little bubble. So, you know, everybody was going out crazy. You're going out shopping? Why would I want to do that? I have no intention of sitting in traffic and standing in queues for 3 hours. No. So no, with the gig, you know, there's a few things on the horizon. In fact, there might be a few things abroad coming up that we're working on. Again, with there's so many different musicians. I love, you know, the network I've grown of people. It's so exciting. So, but yeah, you know, again, we've all got preferences whether or not we want to get the injection, and, you know, to travel, you need to do that and stuff like that. So one thing at a time.
Yeah, one thing at a time. Fantastic. So have you got any plans to maybe do an album or something like that at the moment?
Yeah, I'm working on so many projects, actually. I'm actually helping somebody else with an album at the moment. I've just done my EP. I released quite a few singles. And so, yeah, the next stage would definitely be an album. But I need to seriously get my head down and write. And, you know, because I want it to be a journey. I don't want it to just be a load of songs thrown together. I could have done that easily. I've got loads of songs, but I just want, you know, when I've got about 3 songs for the album, but, you know, and I've got a few in the pipeline that are unfinished. So, you know, maybe this year is the year for that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so you mentioned about, you know, the collaboration sort of side of things. Who, you know, if you had the opportunity, who would you really love to collaborate with?
Oh gosh, that's a big question. First person that comes to mind is Mary J. Blige. I know, like, that's probably, I don't know. She's just to me, she's phenomenal. I love what she does. I love her, everything about her. I love her story. She's somebody I've always looked up to, and vocally, she's incredible.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Right. Final question. Okay. And you might have sort of already touched on this and answered it, really, but is there anybody you'd like to thank for you being here musically now?
Oh, I love that question. Yes. So basically, the reason I love that question is because I take a lot of people under my wing, and, you know, everything I've worked for, my little platform, my little bubble of people, the connections and the relationships I've built, I bring people into that. You know, any opportunity I throw out to people, because I think that's quite hard to come by, especially in the music industry. Not a lot of people keep, you know, everything to themselves, don't they? So I will never forget the people that, you know, from day one encouraged me, believed in me, and had absolute faith in me when I didn't. I had zero experience. I was absolutely petrified. I'd walk into rehearsals and cry because I didn't know what was happening, and I was a big baby and I didn't have the experience. So the people that I would personally thank, I mean, there are tons of people that I could thank, don't get me wrong, the support that people show me and the love that I get. But there are two people that I will never forget, no matter what happens. And there's one young man called Kevin Mulqueen, and he's also known as Crazy. And he's just a young lad, and he's done very well for himself. And he came to me when I was 24, and he was saying, "Come on, Emma, we need to do a song together." And I was just like, "Oh, I don't know." I just made all the excuses in the world. And finally, we pinned a song down and we went to the studio, and I was a nervous wreck, and he never gave up on me. And to this day, he still comes, "Come on, Emma, let's do a song." And I love that about him, because I honestly think if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have really done much musically, because my music career had never got started. And my mum was my means to music. She would put me on the stage. She would put me in front of people. And she passed away when I was 17. So between the age of 17 to 24, I did nothing. So this person came into my life and really pushed me and really encouraged me. So Kevin, absolutely, I'm so grateful. There's also another person, his name is Fisher, and he started out as my guitarist when I first formed my band. And if he hadn't given me the time of day, I remember singing in front of him and my knees shaking. I want to cry because I was so scared. I don't know what I was scared of, and I still have those feelings, but I've learned how to, I guess, deal with them. But yeah, Fisher is another person who's just stuck by me through thick and thin, no matter what, no matter how petrified I am, or yeah, they're the two people that I would say thank you to.
Superb. Emma, look, thank you so much for the interview. It's been absolutely fascinating.
You.
Brilliant.
Good.
And good luck with everything,
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No worries. You take care.
All right. You
Cheers.
too.
Bye.
Bye.